Robert, if I may, you obviously had your plan for Sale away, bringing them back here. What do you think you've learned from that game to bring back here?
Well, probably the importance of, again, I say it in a lot of times when things don't quite go our way, as they didn't there in the second half, the importance of aligning kind of your energy to make sure you bind your game together, you tie your game together. Now, a huge part of that is around set piece and discipline. So if you tend to get those three elements right, especially if you've got a decent lead, you tend to do okay. And I thought those are some areas there that we just let slip away a little bit up at Sale. So I'm not saying we became complacent or anything, because I don't believe we did. But we had, in that second half, we had some opportunities to put that game to bed, and we found a variety of ways of not quite doing it. You know, we had a poor miss kick to touch that would have put them under pressure. Then we got back to that 5-minute scenario again. We conceded a penalty with blocking at the line out. We conceded a couple of soft penalties in the middle of the pitch, which allowed them to put us under pressure into that corner, and we were there for a sustained period. Then when we escaped from there with a good scrum, we then lost the next line out, which put us back in that position again. And I think that's just became the story of the second half. So I think the important thing that we've learned, or we should be talking about, is that importance of maintaining focus for longer periods and making sure you understand what your focus is. So particularly, as a forward, if it's scrum time, your focus is the scrum. If it's line out time, your focus is the line out. And that's what will pin the game together. It's not about, what's the next tackle I've got to make, what's the next carry I've got to make. It's about the here and now. And I think it's just making sure we're real clear, got real clarity on the next part of the game that's important to us. And as long as we throw our energy into those correct areas, we'll be fine, because we are a strong, energetic, hard-working team. And as long as our energies are kind of pointed in the right direction, we're a very good side.
You often learn more from losing. Obviously, they lost that game. They become more of a threat, even though it's back here at Sandy Park, than they were last week.
Potentially, because everyone's aware of the story of double headers. The story of double headers is one team go ahead and win the first game, and then the other team come back and bite them in the second game. Having said that, this is a slightly different scenario in a way, in that we've gone away. Yes, we've won, but there are enough issues for us, enough things for us to work on, enough disappointments in the game for the players, for them to want to play better, and obviously the goals and the ambitions of the players and what we can achieve by winning the game are huge. So the rewards are huge for a good performance this weekend. So I would like to think that those things, along with us as a coaching staff, not being afraid to tell them pretty much in every session, you're going to let this opportunity slip through your hands, I think should make sure that we turn up. And if we turn up a little nervy, and we turn up a little jittery, and we turn up a little edgy, I don't mind. I'd rather we turn up like that than a little bit complacent. And I think that's what I've seen today in training, that we're a little bit on edge, and that's normally a really good sign.
I mean, it's new ground for the club to be in control of the pool at this stage. Obviously it's where you want it to be, but does it bring a kind of nervousness with it as well, that you can all but seal a quarter-final spot by winning? Probably
a little bit. I think it starts to feel a little bit like as you say, you can lose something rather than go out and win it. And when you're chasing things down, you are going out there to win things and bring things back to you. But having said that, I wouldn't swap this for anything else. We're well set in the pool. We've got 3 rounds of it left. We can give ourselves a huge step up into where we're going to go regarding the pool by winning. And I think we've just got to be prepared to talk about all that. I think the days when all I remember doing as a coach was talking games down, we're years past that now. And we've got to be prepared as a club and as a team and as a coaching group to talk games up, and this is a huge opportunity for us, and we should expect that we're going to go out and perform well in it.
What do you think the turning point was for that then, where you went from being someone that didn't want to hype the guys too much to saying, these are games we should win?
We actually turned the corner. Probably the season we won the LV Cup, actually, was the first pre-season meeting where we said, right then guys, we're not going to continually talk about it's game by game and it's enjoying ourselves and trying to thrive in the Premiership, and as long as we work hard and perform okay, that we'll be fine. Come on, let's actually set ourselves. When are we going to take the next step? And interestingly, that was our worst Premiership season. I think we finished 8th. That was 9th. But we won our first trophy. So by the end of the season, we got our heads around it. Early in the season, we definitely didn't like it. We didn't like being putting ourselves under some pressure to perform. But we've learned, and that's a few years ago now. But we've learned steadily and slowly and surely that positive pressure is good for us, and this is a perfect example of we'll see whether Heineken Cup positive pressure is a good thing for us.
On Stuart Hogg, obviously the first 20 minutes in that game he set one up, scored one, exactly what you wanted to see from the guy, why you signed him. how impressive have you been with him, and also, what is the latest on him?
He's fine. He's obviously, because of coming off and failing the HIA, he's going through the HIA protocols, although we're pretty comfortable and pretty confident that it wasn't a HIA, it was actually illness. I think a few people are probably aware Nick White travelled up the night before on his own in a train because he'd been having food buggy symptoms kind of thing, and added up some sickness. So we separated him from the rest of the lads. He was declared fit on the morning of the game, and there was a bit of it going around the camp. And actually, Stuart was nauseous pre-game, and I think those couple of exertions and those big moments he had probably contributed to a guy who was feeling sick, head spinning, needed looking after. Obviously, that's a large part of the symptoms of HIA as well. So when he said to the doc when he went on, I'm nauseous, I'm dizzy. Obviously, you got to, and he had hit the floor. The reality. Obviously, you bring them off for a HIA, and people need to remember now. HIA questions aren't like, have you got a bang on the head? They are, do you feel sick? Do you feel nauseous? Do you feel dizzy? And if you answer yes to any one of those questions, you fail the HIA. So he failed the HIA through feeling sick and nauseous. But we're not quite sure whether he was sick and nauseous or whether he had a bang on the head. So he's doing the HIA, but he's passing every part of it with absolutely no symptoms at all. So, and he's actually saying to himself, I felt ill before and I feel better now than I did before the game. So we're pretty comfortable he's fine in both illness and in HIA, but we're covering off both bases anyway.
It went pretty well considering it wasn't well then.
Very well.
And just in general, his performance, at the top level like that, is it exactly what you're after, really? Yeah,
very much so. I mean, the thing with Stuart is, I think you can see this obviously hugely talented and gifted guy, but I think what you don't see, unless you work with him day to day, is you see how driven he is and his desire to be successful and his desire to do well for the team he's playing in, for the guys around him. And that's been, for me, hugely satisfying. He puts a huge amount of pressure on himself to do well. And if anything, maybe, we've got to actually try and let him relax just a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit, to allow him to really flourish. Because I think when you see him, when he has big impacts, when he has big moments, they're fantastic. And they ultimately, for whatever length of time he was on the pitch, when you look at that final scoreline, he is a guy who made a difference. And that, as you said, that's exactly what we need from these players.
And just last one for me, any other injury news, anyone that's coming back into the mix and anyone that's definitely out?
Obviously, great. Ollie Woodburn got some game time with Stuart going off early, which was fantastic. Now that he's back up and running, Ollie Devoto's back in full training, fully fit to be selected. We may well see him on Monday night, which is obviously fantastic news. We've got other guys becoming close, but we've come through the Sale away game with a completely full, clean bill of health. Every one of those lads is available for selection, which is fantastic news, and allows us to go into this game, as full on as we possibly can.
But no O'Flaherty at this point. He's still ruled out.
Oh no, Flats is a relatively is a relatively severe hamstring injury. Doesn't require an operation, which is good news. But he's going to be out for a few weeks.
Cool, thank you.